Welcome to this short video where we will be talking about the interface of the Topogun. It is an application solely dedicated to retopology. If you already familiar with Topogun or you use some different app for retopology, feel free just to skip this lesson. This is Topogun version 2. It is a pretty old application. I think it is something like 10 years old, but we still use it. Recently, version 3 was released, which has some very interesting tools, but we haven't yet incorporated it into our pipeline, and I suspect that the interface is probably either the same or very similar to the version 2. And version 2 works perfectly well for most purposes. This here is a high-res model of the claw, which we will be here using for now just for demonstration purposes. In this video I'm just showing you the interface. In the next one we will be doing the actual retopology. We will retopologize probably this very claw, but right now we're talking about the interface. So we start by loading the reference. I have already loaded the reference, but if you haven't, there is a load ref button in the top left corner of the screen where you just load it. And then it is used to create low poly model. You just create polygons right on the surface of your reference. And let me explain how I just did this. So basically, every point you create in Topogun will snap automatically to the surface of your reference. If you go to the, unfortunately, the recording area cuts that off, but at the very top of the screen there is a number of menus, and one of them is the tools menu. And in the tools menu you will find all the available tools which we use to create polygons on the surface. And frankly, I don't use most of those tools. I use very few. And I prefer to use just Simple Edit because it gives the maximum control. And when you are in Simple Edit, right mouse button, it switches between the point creation tool and the selection tool. So when we are in the creation tool, we just click with left mouse button on the surface and we create a chain of points. And if we press the right mouse button, we can manipulate these points and the edges. Points are automatically connected with edges, but if you sort of click in an open area, you might lose the connection, and the next number of points you will create will not be connected to the previous one. If you want to connect them, you have to use Ctrl. Well, not exactly like that. If you want to connect these points, you lost the connection, you go to the creation tool, you press Ctrl, and you select a point, and then with the Ctrl still pressed, you click the next point, and then they are connected. But of course you want to create polygons. How do you do that? Wherever 4 points are connected like this, a polygon, a quad or a 3-pointed polygon is created. There are only 2 types of polygons which Topogun recognizes. Like other applications like Maya and 3ds Max, they can have a polygon with any number of points, but not here, because 4-pointed polygons, quads, and 3-pointed polygons, triangles, are the only type of polygons which you can reasonably control with animation. Therefore, we are limited to those. And again, whenever you want to select a point or you want to connect 2 points, like to close these polygon, you need to press Ctrl. That is very important. So this is how you create polygons with a Simple Edit tool. There is also a floating menu here, and when you are in the creation mode or a Simple Edit mode, you can mark the Make Faces. And when it is activated, Topogun will attempt to automatically connect the point you just created to the next point, the closest point. It has very limited applicability because usually it chooses the wrong point. So I prefer to have this option deactivated, but there is also a bridge tool. Shift B will select a bridge tool, which bridges points very quickly. And this tool is more useful. For instance, you can create like 2 lines of edges, and with a bridge tool you can bridge them quickly. There is also the drawing tool. I hardly ever use it, but I assume can be pretty useful. You draw lines like this on the surface of the model, and then you cross these lines, and you press Evaluate button in this floating menu, and it thinks for a while, and after that it should create a number of polygons. Let's see. And Topogun has just crashed. It does that, unfortunately. From time to time, that is why it is very important to save your progress. It will also attempt to restore the scene you've lost, but let me just load the reference again. It will attempt to restore the scene, but nonetheless, you need to save very often. It has to become compulsive. Anyway, if you ever worked with any type of complicated like application on 3D graphics, you know that you have to save every several minutes. So let's save now, because saving in Topogun is a little different than in most applications. First, you need to create a project. It will give you this uncomfortable menu. You can just copy a path from your regular Windows Explorer, because it's really hard to navigate to the correct folder. And here you name the project. A project can have several scenes with several elements which you need to retopologize individually. So I'm naming this drone and the version, because I have a habit to always add a version to a file name. So now it has the project has been created. You can press Ctrl S, and it has automatically created a scenes folder inside your project, and I will name it Claw and save it. I will save it as a Topogun document. That means that it saves the reference to the high-res model, and it will also save any low-poly model which I have created in this scene. Before we wrap this lesson, let me just show you another tool that I use often. It is Tubes tool. Well, this model is not the best model to demonstrate this tool, but it has sort of an elongated shape. So, Tubes tool helps you to quickly retopologize elongated like shapes, like arms, legs, fingers, things like that, because you create a cross section, then another cross section, and let's say another cross section. Then you press the right mouse button, and here, look, it has analyzed the surface and tried to create a tube-like shape. But since this claw is a little bit too complicated shape for this tool, the result is not very good. But if it would be more cylindrical, it would be perfect. So with this tool, here is the floating menu, it keeps escaping to a different monitor. It has divisions. Divisions is the number of these points which each cross section has. I can take it up like even to a high number like 30. And as you can see, all these points sort of converged to this small area. But again, it is because the surface is too complicated for the tool. But with a cylindrical shape, it would be very, very quick to retopologize, let's say an arm, a leg, neck, anything like that. So this is the interface of Topogun. Don't forget to save. It saves the low poly inside the file, and the high res, because it is usually very heavy, it does not pull it inside the file. It just saves the link, so make sure you don't move the high-res model. In the next lesson, we will do the actual retopology. You will see how I do the retopology of this whole claw, and that will help us to make sure that we have the interface and the basic principles of retopology down.